Hello, this is Matt Gifford, aka Coldview Monkey, and in this example I wanted to create a very quick air application to demonstrate the use of the network connectivity monitoring tools to assess whether your application is online or offline. Uh, the first glance on the screen, I've got a standard Air application I've just created with the new Flex project. I've basically accepted all of the defaults. I haven't got any remote server connections and nothing fancy. I've just created literally a new project using using Air, and this is the default MXML file that has been output for me. So to start using the network connectivity tools, I need to create some script tags. So I'm going to do that, fx script. And I actually need to define some of the variables and import some classes to use. So the first off, I actually need to import the air.net.url monitoring class, and that's what I'm going to use to actually use the URL monitoring request. I then need to set up some variables to use, and the first one is a string that is basically the remote URL of the web address that we actually want to connect to test whether or not we are online. And typically I like to use Google because you can almost guarantee that they're online and they're 99.99% uptime. So you basically need an address that you know is going to be up, unless by some disaster it's down. We're then setting a variable for our URL monitor class itself. And then finally I'm actually going to create a bindable variable that is going to be a boolean called isOnline, and it's this that I'm going to basically assign true or false as to whether or not we do have network connectivity. Now by default I am setting it to false because we want to assume from the start that we aren't online, and we can basically handle and trap any possible occurrences that way if our application does expect us to be. So I'm going to copy and paste the rest in because I don't want to bore you with my finger typing. So the first function that we're adding in is a monitor connection function, and this checks the online status by attempting to resolve a connection to the remote address which we had provided with the string URL monitor variable. Now very simply, we're using the monitor class here, creating a new version of that class. We are sending off a new URL request to that specific URL that we've defined up there. So we're basically checking and we're sending off a response to call google.com. We've got an event listener that we've added onto that monitor, and if there is any change, it's going to actually run a function called announce status, which we're going to add in just a little bit further down, and we're starting the monitor function straight away. So for our announce status function, we'll add that in now. Here we go. This is the announce status. This is going to run for the event listener for the actual monitor class itself, and this will declare whether the status from the monitor connection function is online or not, and it's going to set the value for that isOnline boolean value for us to use throughout the application. I've also got a little trace on there so that if you are running a debug you can actually see what the status change is and the current connection status. So basically the monitor availability is pulled back from the status event, and if it is available we're going to set isOnline to true, and within here, within the if statement, you can then run any necessary script that you want to action that does require an online status. If not, we're just setting it to false and there isn't going to be any change for any of our code. What we can also do is run an event listener as soon as the application starts up as well, which we're going to add in now. And if I create a new function for the init, so we're going to run this particular method on creation complete of the entire application. And within here, we're going to run an event listener on the native application. So the actual application itself, we're going to keep an eye on the network connectivity, and if there is any change to the network connectivity, it's going to run the on-network change function, which I added in just above. So basically what that does, as soon as the application starts, you've constantly got this event listener that's running. It's keeping track of any changes to the network, any changes to the connectivity, and it's going to poll the on-network change function and run the monitor connection, which will then set the value of the isOnline to true or false, dependent on whether we do have that connection or not. So we have that on the init. We also actually want to run the monitor connection function as soon as the application loads up. So basically, when the creation is complete, we're assigning the event listener, and we are then running our monitor connection to first of all detect whether we're online or offline. Then as our application progresses, if we do suddenly lose connection or we suddenly gain connection, the event listener to the native application will pick that up, which will run the on-network change function, which will again call the monitor connection, which will then sign the isOnline values to true or false. So to show this in a very, very quick example, I'm going to set a label UI component. I'm just going to assign some X and Y components, the attributes, so we can see it on the screen. I want the text, so are we online? And then using the bindable variable isOnline, I'm setting that there. So we're going to have some text status. I want this to be quite large so we can actually see what we're doing. And the heights I'm going to set to 167. The font size we're going to make quite large so we can see. We're not messing around here, we want to see instantly what's going to happen. And to finish off, I've got the creation complete set to init up the top, which is going to run everything. So if I then save that and do a debug, we have our application. You can see there it actually started up online false as default, as we'd set in the code, and it had detected that we are online. You can see here we have got access to a network, so it's then set it to true. If I then go and change that, if I actually go and turn the airport off, this then runs the network connectivity event listener, which then instantly checks it to false, and you can see down the bottom it has changed the status event in our console trace. If I then go and turn the airport on again, so we're reconnecting to the network, it's going to again run that event listener. It's realised that we are online. It's then set it back to true again, and you can see down in the trace debug again, you can see it's run the network change. We've then changed the current status from false back to true. So that's a very, very simple way of detecting whether or not you are online, and how then to progress within your Air applications to add any extra functionality. Thank you very much.